that's 3 dimensions away from Top Gun Maverick becoming the highest grossing movie of all time. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is a sequel to the original Top Gun movie that came out in the 80s. This movie this time around is a sequel, and of course Tom Cruise reprises his role as, of course, Maverick. This time around, he's joined by a new director, mostly a new cast, and of course, basically a new story. Although he is still a pilot, it's more like he's like a senior pilot that's like basically training these trainees to like go on a mission to like take out these missiles. And I will say this: when I first heard about it, I had no intentions of watching this movie. I'm like, I really didn't care for the original one that much, but I've seen it, and so I was watching, and so I went and I was like, I saw the trailers. I'm like, man, these trailers. If this was a Green Lantern movie, those trailers would really excite me. And so, like, the movie got delayed because of COVID and everything, got several times, and like every time they came a new trailer, where I'm like, they're showing the whole entire movie in the trailers. Pretty soon, they're not even going to be able to show. People are going to be able to put together the whole movie within the trailers. So I was like, this movie's not going to come out and do well. I was so skeptical about it. And so when the movie came out, I was like, wow, this movie, it was going to be the highest grossing movie of the summer. Finally, I went and saw it, and I'm like, wow. Which, clarify, I saw this back in like June, July, and I just have been busy with reviews, so I haven't got a chance to review it yet, so this is why I'm reviewing it now. I will say this, though. This movie has a great cast. I really like this cast. Tom Cruise is great in this movie. I love all the jet stuff is real. Like, he's been on record saying this is all real stuff. In fact, if you were in the movie theater watching it, PSA of Tom Cruise camp saying all this stuff's real. We wanted to make sure this was an exact, felt like a real pilot movie. And it says, and like a big thank you and everything. And I was like, oh, it's really cool. And so, like, the cast and everything had to train with real pilots and everything. It's a really good movie. Like, I really like it. I love how it just, the opening credits are so, basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original opening credits, to where I thought they just copy-pasted the original credits and then put, new names. But it turns out, no, they reshot the opening credits. And I'm like, that's really cool. I really like that. I mean, it was such a nod to the original and played the same music. And they also had a great new song by Lady Gaga, who is an artist that I love. And it has, the cast is pretty good, like you got Hangman, and then you got, Miles Teller's character, and then you got this one Bill Paxton's son that's like just Bob. And then of course, you have the other cadets, and like, it's really fun, and Miles Teller's playing like Anthony Edwards' son from the original movie, and he's basically a pilot that, Maverick has history with, because, he doesn't want to end up the same fate as his dad, so he basically tries to get him kicked out of the academy and such forth, and they have a bad history and everything, and he's under his watch, and he's training for this mission, and basically, like, it's kind of, which a friend of mine, told me, like, what, this is kind of like the trench run in Star Wars, like, A New Hope, and like, in which Dave from Interpreting Stars has said, like, like he said, it just reminds him of A New Hope, like he even did in his video, he was like, it's the trench run. That's all it is. It's the trench run from Star Wars. And I'm like, it basically kind of is. I mean, he's not wrong. But I do disagree with, like, the whole movie is kind of like A New Hope. I mean, like, I could see originality to it and everything, but I could see where he's come from The New Hope's perspective. I mean, the movie, like, I will say is pretty good. I do like the action and stuff. I think Tom Cruise is great, and I like the new love interest played by Jennifer Connelly. Even though I could tell that they couldn't bring back the original lady because, of course, she, has aged out, and so they want to try to match, because Tom Cruise still looks hunkadory and stuff, and they want to try to match someone up to him, and if they brought someone older and everything, they probably would be like, they were trying to turn, like, they're trying to turn, like, the 40 or 50-year-old movie audience that was there in the 80s, they're trying to bring them back, but they're like, they don't want to try to be like, oh, he's too old. I wish they got someone else, And I think that was more of a studio note, really, more than anything else, which, or else I'm sure they probably would have brought her back. But I think it was studios like, well, we need someone hot, like Tom Cruise hot, And I think that's where there was, personally, I would have been fine if she would have came back. Because, I mean, if Val Kilmer can come back, obviously, then she could come back as well. And which I'm glad that they didn't do, like, a ghost scene where they try to put Anthony Edwards as a ghost. I'm like, or try to put, like, a flashback footage of him inserting it to try to be like, oh yeah, or having to create a new scene using CGI for, Maverick and, Iceman or Goose, and I'm just thinking, like, I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad they tried to, like, they pay homage, but not try to overly pay homage. And I think it's a unique movie, and I do, there is some negatives, like, I do think that like there's some parts where I'm like, man, this would be a great thing to put dangers on this scene right here, because you only hear it once in the movie, and then it's basically that's it. And I'm just like, come on, man, that'd been so cool if you could have played a couple more times in the movie, you know. And I do think that this is a better movie compared to the original one, and I do like the action stuff, like But I also I thought it was kind of ridiculous how they steal a plane and no one on the runway stops them, no one shoots missiles at them stopping them, and they just see them walk by, get in that plane, take off, and I'm like, it's just magically how they can get in there and not be stuck, locked, or no key, how they can turn on. Which I have no expertise in piloting, but I'm sure there's no keys there, I don't even know if those planes have keys, but only if there is keys. How do they get the keys? If there isn't keys, well then fuck me then. But still, I thought that was kind of a little bit that was too easy, and then of course then planes that are not even coming from that direction are they noticed them because they saw them in the window. How could they even see them? If he can't see them, then there's no way they can see him. I mean, I just thought that was a little bit stupid, but and I also thought was okay, at the end when how at the end they do a Jurassic Park type thing where at the end how the T-Rex sneaks up and he kills the raptors at the end of the original Jurassic Park. They do something like this where they're about to get shot down, then all of a sudden Hangman comes out of nowhere and boom boom boom, and I'm like, they did not hear him or see him on their radar. I mean, are you serious? They just literally were oh, that just randomly came out of nowhere. I'm like, are you serious? And also, if they see an enemy and he's not responding or nothing, then wouldn't they shoot even if they think that's Ice or Maverick, and they wouldn't think about it, they wouldn't say look, this could be a bogey wanting to Pearl Harbor us or something, and I'm just saying just stuff like that would kind of irk me, but it's not an awful thing. I mean, I really did enjoy this movie. I think it's a fantastic, well-made movie. I mean, Joseph Krasinski, who I actually really liked him directing Tron Legacy. He did Oblivion, which I wasn't a big fan of. But I did really enjoy this movie. I really did I really liked this movie a lot. I mean, it is in my top 5 so far of the year. But I don't think if they made I don't really want them to make a third film, because I feel like this is his Dark Knight. I don't want him to do Dark Knight Rises. Even though I love Dark Knight Rises, I don't think it's going to be a step down compared to this, because you already hit a 10, you can't hit 11. There's no way to hit 11. If I had to give it a grade, I would give it a solid A-. Thank you all so much.